the youth through this confab to be held very soon so that the government will address some of these challenges. The government also admitted poverty and high cost of food prices, and also a renewed hope employment and empowerment to create 2.5 million jobs, and also its economic stabilization funds bill to be sent to the National Assembly, and also revolutionization of agriculture, in which the state of Niger, Jigawa, and Kebbi, and some southwestern states were mentioned as part of those who have embraced agriculture in a way to revamp the agricultural sector. These are some of the takeaways we have for the president's speech. Dr. Mohamed Antala Aliyu, every day, when we come to a day like this, it is promises upon promises. What will you say about Nigeria's independence 64 years today, and vis-a-vis the president's speech based on the takeaways that I have mentioned?
Well, one can take it up from the era of the struggle for independence. Coincidentally, he said there's going to be a national youth conference, and coincidentally again, it was the youth who championed the independence of Nigeria. When you look at the founding fathers of Nigeria, at the time they were struggling for independence, many of them were in their 20s and 30s. You name them, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sa'amudu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. All of these were in their early 40s and mid 40s, including people like Peter and Patrick Ganahoro. All of these people were youths at the time of the struggle for independence. And when Nigeria gained its independence, many of them took up political positions and become independent leaders. It will be interesting to also note that as an independent nation, speeches were made right from the day of independence to the present day. And in all of these speeches, leaders who have come to deliver these speeches have made promises and embedded hope in the minds of Nigerians. And for every year, you realize that this hope keeps fading. Looking at the fact that many a times the leaders never live truly to the provisions of their speeches. Speeches have always been characterized by rhetorics delivered by those leaders. And at every point in time, when a leader comes and delivers his speech, and could not muzzle out the political will to follow action from his speeches, you realize that the hope of the citizens will continue to fade away, and of course Nigerians and indeed everybody becomes hopeless. As it is now, if you are to take a public opinion regarding this administration, on whether this administration has the capability to pull Nigeria out of its current quagmire, I'm sure many people will have voted that no, they have no hope on this administration. It means that Nigerians, 1 year down the road, have already lost hope in this present administration. And were it to be a context of choice between this administration and Nigeria, I'm sure many Nigerians will vote for Nigeria before this administration. This is all to tell you that the writing is clearly on the wall, that the government have not done what it has promised during its campaign, and that the government have not been able to come up with policies that will create hope in the minds of Nigerians.
You mentioned hope, and this is one of the mantra of this administration, Renew Hope Agenda. And in this Renew Hope Agenda, the president in his speech just a while ago, he mentioned that, or he admitted that indeed people are suffering, and indeed there is poverty in the land, and indeed there is, rise cost of food prices, and the government now is sending its economic stabilization bill to the National Assembly for assent that will help to grow the economy, and if the economy grow, and that is what the government thinks, that will reduce poverty and high cost of food prices. So do you think all these promises, as you mentioned, are mere rhetorics, right from 1960 to that. Mere rhetorics speeches by all these leaders that we have. What do you think is the best way? That the president admitted. But how can this be translated into reality?
Well, pragmatic actions is the intent today. Too much of grammar and paperwork do not deliver anything, because when you have too much paperwork and too much grammar in everything, you tend to politicize every action that the government is going to take. And pragmatism has always been the intent. We must continue to learn from the military administrations that have come to rule this country. And whether we like it or not, Nigeria achieved its most development during the military era. And we must continue to lay kudos and credence to the military government that came into Nigeria. And when you look at many of the developments that have come since independence, many of them were recorded during the military era and not during the civilian administration. And hence, we can say that the military have always been pragmatic in all of their actions. When you look at Babangida's 8 years, for example, he has followed words with actions. Whatever the government says it will do it practically, and everybody will see it. Now, let us begin from even 1986, when he first came with the structural adjustment program. As difficult as that policy was, he followed and matched it up with actions. When he came with privatization, he followed and matched it with actions. It was through privatization that have produced a number of rich men in Nigeria and have opened the space for job creation in Nigeria. Private entities, many individuals were able to establish their own private companies, and many Nigerians were gainfully employed. Prior to that, many of the companies were national companies owned by the government. But when Babangida opened the space, people began to create the necessary hope and put in their money and invest heavily to create their own companies and employ so many other people. So you can see these are the pragmatic actions that we are talking about. When he also talked, when the Babangida administration also decided that they want to build Abuja and move the capital city from Lagos to Abuja because Lagos is chaotic, is inadequate to host the nation's capital, and strategically it is not the best location for the nation's capital. Of course, he followed that with action, and there was accelerated constructions and development in Abuja, and of course by 1993, the government moved to Abuja. I mean, by 1991, the government moved to Abuja. So you can see that pragmatic action is what is needed in Nigeria. Now, when we came into a civilian administration, of course, if you look at from the time when the civilians took over, so many policies came in. Even in the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, most of the policies that came in were shabbily implemented, and that was why they never had the desired impact on the civil society. When you look at his poverty alleviation programs through the humanitarian ministries, how many people have been were able to be pulled out of the shackles of poverty in Nigeria? In the last 10 years, you discover that none. This is because politicization of the policy and then perverted wanton corruption from political office holders have thwarted every government policy and have rendered it ineffective.
So is it right to say policy somersaults, that is, the Buhari lame duck administration has continued into a snell work administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when it comes to economic policies, and also and a policy that will remove poverty out of Nigeria, in which we have seen from the report of National Board of Statistics that says that Nigeria is multidimensional poverty stage. So now, how do we go out of this quagmire once we have leaders who have policies that are not effectively implemented? What will be the best way out, so that we get out of this things? And also, we should now desist from a way that we see government upon government promises, that up to now, people are talking about construction of roads, providing of water, and also education and healthcare services, which will never see the light of the day.
The problem is that many Nigerian leaders have hidden behind the image of Nigeria and its prestige, and have decided that they cannot stoop so low to approach other smaller countries and how they are able to achieve successes. Otherwise, the Rwandan approach will have been the best option for Nigeria. Politics is on one side, and then technocrats. We are taking from different sectors of the of walks of life to come and implement government policies.
Meaning there must be distinction
between
government and governance.
Exactly. There must be a clear distinction. A clear line of boundary must be drawn between government and then governance. While the politicians are doing their own, they should allow technocrats to implement government policies in total, from head to toe, so that on the long run, whatever achievement is recorded by the technocrats will definitely go back to the government, and then the government can use those achievements as platform for their campaigns, either to retain themselves in the office or to even face their electorate and say, these are the things that we have done through this program, through that program. But as it is now, even as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is beating his chest to say that he has rolled down a robust agricultural policy, who are the technocrats involved? When you look at all of the heads of committees and parastatals that are saddled with the responsibility of implementing that policy, they are all politicians. So you discover that that is where the government is getting it wrong. Ideally, when he is coming with a robust agricultural policy, he should have gone and get very good and intelligent technocrats in agriculture, and that should be along the agricultural value chain, whether in agricultural mechanization, agricultural economy, and some other aspect of agriculture, so that on the long run, all of these technocrats will marry all of their ideas together and will be able to see the robust agricultural policy that we are talking about. But as it is now, everything have largely remained on paper, except what have trickled down from what the politicians have been able to aggrandize them to the peasant. And you discover that how many peasant farmers have been able to lay their hands on all of this. Giving 1 or 2 bags of fertilizer to a peasant farmer is not enough. It's even an insult on the face of the underprivileged, because what the farmer requires is much more than 2 bags of fertilizer. And if you are talking about robust agricultural policy, it means that you are also encouraging the farmer to also widen his farmland to cultivate a multitude of hectares beyond what he's used to cultivate.
Mechanized farming, and that's what the president even said in his speech today.
I heard him, yes.
That he said that government is doing everything possible to see that agriculture is being revolutionized, and also we have mechanized agriculture. To this, he gives kudos to the government of Niger State for embarking on into a kind of agricultural revolution, and also the government of Kebbi State and Jigawa State, and some southwestern state. So looking at Niger, what he's talking about, Niger mechanizing agriculture, Niger Foods, particularly by Babu administration, and what the president has said. If we look at some countries that even gain independence, many countries took the part in which they are expert in that. When you look at Singapore are into this high tech, you know, and also not only high tech. You have, the Samsung of this world, the Hyundai and what have you, and they are into ICT development. If you go to Malaysia, you see how Malaysian tigers, they build. If you go to Hong Kong, we don't know whether it's independence or not, but Hong Kong also has a very, robust economy. Now, what do we have in this agricultural revolutionization that we're having in Niger under the current administration, and vis-a-vis what the president said? How do we improve agriculture? Niger State, 10% landmass of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And out of this 10% landmass, over 67% of this land are arable land.
For agriculture. Yes, yes. The Niger approach. What makes the Niger approach to be very clear is because the Niger state government have tried as much as possible within the limit of its capability to take away politics from agriculture. And that is why it is recording these relative successes. Let me cite so many examples. When those tractors came in, a lot of people thought that it is going to be the normal assembly of tractors, and then after sometimes they vanish and no one will see them.
Just like the one that they said wind has taken over 73 tractors during the last administration.
Exactly, but you realize that the government proved everybody wrong. It rolled down the Niger Foods policy, and then it also brought in the Niger State Agricultural Mechanization Development Agency, the NAMDA, and then so many other consortium of agencies were also brought in related to agriculture, and the utilization of these tractors was solely left in the hands of the technocrats. It is not the politicians. In the past, you will see it is either the council chairman or the commissioner that will lay his hands on 2 or 3 tractors, and then some other politicians will lay their hands on some other tractors, and then some will even take them to their farmlands, and then after some time you don't see the tractors again. But in this situation, you realize that the tractors were distributed. We made so much adverts here where even NAMDA was calling on farmers to come and obtain tractors free of charge. If you have a land, come and take a tractor from NAMDA. The tractor will go and cultivate your land for you free of charge. That was what was going on. We ran the advert here severally, and so many farmers were able to access these tractors. And that was why you see the Niger State government was able to cultivate more number of hectares, more number of lands that were hitherto lying fallow. And you can see even the Bobby Grazing Reserve today has already been turned into farmlands. The whole of it has already been cultivated. So what we are expecting is a bumper harvest. And probably if this is sustained, and then there is an improvement in the security aspect of the banditry and kidnapping and all of that, we'll be able to see more robust agricultural activities.
Doctor, there is a lot in the speech of the president. Nothing was mentioned about
unfortunately, yes,
nothing about
insecurity.
Well, it's very unfortunate.
And there has to be security before we can even achieve anything.
But one thing, just briefly, because we need to give listeners also their own time, for them to contribute to the program. The president mentioned that there's going to be a national youth conference for 30 days, in which recommendations are going to be sent to the government for implementation of this. Looking at what happened at the back, the 2014 national conference under Jonathan, no implementation. The conference, national conference by Abacha, nothing come out of it. Do you think that this conference proposed by the president, it is something that we should rise up and say that good is a good thing to come?
Well, I wouldn't know the indices that will be used to draw the delegates to that conference. If the real youths are engaged in that conference, we'll be able to see a robust discussion by the youths, probably for the first time, discussing about Nigeria. Because as it is now, many of the youths have already been diverted into some other things. This is largely because of lack of engagement by the government. The youths have not been adequately engaged in the art of governance. Hence, many youths have lost interest in leadership, they've lost interest in governance, and have decided to look elsewhere to seek for their comfort in life. Coincidentally, according to the 2006 census, 66% of the population of Nigeria are below the age of 30. It means that Nigeria is blessed with youths, unlike in some other countries that do not have youths. What they have are aged people. So I foresee a situation where if the youth are given an opportunity to discuss the Nigerian project, they should be able to come up with robust discussion and a very good communique that the government can leverage on to move on and see how they can salvage the youth from the shackles of poverty, from the shackles of lack of direction and all of that. And if this happens, I think it will be the first time, but away from making history, let it also be implemented. And that is the way to go.
Some people will view this national conference as diversionary by the president.
Well, it will not be a diversionary thing because whether we like it or not, the removal of subsidy is still biting and is a recurring decimal in the life of Nigerians. So there is no way the attention of any Nigerian could be diverted.
Well, this is Nigeria Today, coming to you live from our studios of Prestigefm91.7 mx. We are issuing Nigeria at independence 64 years today, and we have had the president's speech, and now it's over to you, our listeners, to contribute into the program. Yeah, remember the number to call is 090-388-08883. So let's see who is on the line, please. Hello. Hello? Hello?
Good morning, my brother.
Okay.
Yes, today is 1st October. We see our brother every 1st October, speeches are always big, and there's no any action but the speech. Even when they are campaign, where if I know they will do video. All that is, I just want to call on us. And we must come back to do the right thing. And as far as I'm concerned, you call say they are going to do. How many euros to do for every state? All you are going to do in Abuja. We are going to see every state. And you need to gather all the youth, all the select some people, who is right to them, who is going to take the group among the youth. What are these? This is not our solution. What I'm expecting our president to do today, yes, the price has come down. Being back to subsidy, That's what we are expecting. If you do not pump billion for 8 days, it will not invest for the program of it.
Thank you, so that we allow other people to know. We don't have much time. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think you should be very snappy because let's allow other people, to contribute because we don't have much time. Yeah. Hello. Yes. Good morning. Okay, Stefan. Oh my God. Well, Stefan, we lost Stefan there. Okay, another caller. Hello. Yes, who's speaking, please? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to express our feelings of fixing our life.
Thank you.
We are all reaching having prestige. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Just like the way you said it. Very unfortunate. Majority of the cities are reaching and presented for workers. But for this very one, it does not hold water. This is not what Nigeria needs. Currently, what they expect the president to say, since subsidy was the problem, we are expecting to say subsidy will still be the solution. And the only solution Nigerians are after is for him to bring down the GMS. Simple. To touch both the rich and the poor positively. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That's a lie. You can hear, what people are saying. Well, hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, please reduce the volume of our radio, please. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, please.
I wish Nigerians happy independence.
Thank you.
And as for you conference in Abuja, let's be optimistic about it that it will turn in favor of you in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. 09038880883. This is the number to call and be part of the program. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Please speak louder, please.
Okay, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just as Angela said, we need technocrats in every aspect of our economy. If we really want to develop, that's just the secret. So Angela, thank you very much for that word, technocrat. That's all we need in Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take one call, then we'll come back to the studio. Thank you. Okay. 090-388. Okay. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Bro.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bute.
I pray I should summarize in 1 minute. Well, since we are on the crossroads, reform to reform for progress and prosperity, and then citizens of future and collapse later. But this progress and prosperity reform, the majority are feeling the heat, while the few ruling class are enjoying taking hardship allowances. So is that a progress only for the rich? Again, youth conference, we pray shouldn't be the 2027 or the 26 delegate conference or ACC. Let's see the way the delegate will be drawn from. Finally, on this agri, on this leak, labor and employment youth at the state, we see how it ends. Nigeria has suffered. We expect something, a relief from him. Unfortunately, it didn't start by wishing us happy independence and ended up happy independence. It's unfortunate. May God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You understand, time is not on our side. Dr. Dantala, finally, what do we say about Nigeria's independence and also some of the items listed by the president? Particularly, the issue that we didn't touch is the issue of Renew Hope Employment and Empowerment Program that will create 2.5 million jobs.
Yes, over the years we have seen that only the children of the affluent have been able to be gainfully employed and injected into the civil service. And if this continues on this trajectory, it is also killing the morale of youths to go into acquisition of education. Many youths today have become hopeless after graduating from universities. This is because their hope of getting a job, especially the white-collar job, has been dashed. Whether or not you will get a job depends on who you know. And if this thing continues, even the National Youth Conference is going to be drawn like that. Let us see the modalities and the preset criteria that will be used to draw delegates that will be representing the youth of Nigeria. We wouldn't want to see the children of this and the child of that coming in to say he's representing the youth. We want to see people from the downtrodden, people who have been feeling the heat, people who are on the receiving side of the harsh economic policies of this administration. These are the people that are in a better position to say what they feel, to say what is happening, and that is the only time we'll be able to see the feelings of Nigerians being adequately expressed and addressed at the youth conference.
Well, that is all what we can take on the program. As far as we are concerned, Nigeria belongs to all of us. Let us see how we can make Nigeria based on the dreams of our founding fathers. Let us see Nigeria that will have government and will have leaders, not rulers, that will have the heart to make everyone smile. Let's see Nigeria where we have peace and tranquility among diverse ethnic groups in the country. With this note, we say happy independence to you all.
If you want to play that this thing now, you can